Hey people, I welcome you back to Caroline's Online Academy. In this series of videos, we are learning the various concepts involved in accounting for share capital. And in this particular video, I'm going to be teaching you how to compute calls and arrears in a question where pro rata allotment is done, and the working note that you're supposed to prepare in order to compute the calls and arrears amount in a pro rata allotment problem. So this is a very important working note, as this is a computation that you will have to do, that you have been, that has been tested in CBSE over the past 5 years in almost all the 6 mark questions that they have been asking. Understood or not, my dear children? And it is a challenge here because usually computing calls and arrears is not a big challenge, right? We just have to find out the number of shares held by the defaulting shareholder and multiply that with the amount due on that particular call which he has defaulted, and that will help you find out the calls and arrears, as we've learned from all the previous videos. But when it comes to pro rata allotment, it becomes slightly challenging because there is some excess application money available for adjustment against allotment and further calls due. Am I right or not, my dear children? Assume there is some excess application money available against allotment, and it is not enough to cover the entire allotment due by the company, payable by the shareholders, and one shareholder defaults payment of allotment money. So it is not like he has not paid the entire allotment money, because there is some excess application money that he paid along with the extra applications he made, which is available to be set off against the allotment money, and at the same time he has not paid the remaining amount. Am I right or not, my dear children? So it's important for us to compute the amount that he has not paid after adjusting the excess application money available, and that is what we want to learn in this problem, my dear children, in this video. So I'll read the question out for you. Kavya Limited issued 1 lakh shares of rupees 100 each, payable as follows. Application rupees 25, allotment 30, first call 30, second call is remaining. As I've already computed, second call therefore would be 15. That is the issue price of the share 100 minus all the amount received on the earlier calls on as application, allotment, and first call. That will be 85. You reduce 85 from 100, you find out the second call money of 15 rupees. The company received 1,40,000 applications and it made pro rata allotment to all applicants. So it's a case of oversubscription where there is no rejection and pro rata allotment has been made to all the applicants. Nikita holding 1,000 shares did not pay the allotment. So Nikita, who's holding 1,000 shares, did not pay allotment. Go ahead and do this in the books of Kavya Limited journal, and we prepare the format. The first journal entry is pretty straightforward and very well known by you, my dear children. We receive application money, and therefore the journal entry for that would be bank account debit to share application account. Application money received. And the amount would be what, my dear children? It is the total number of application multiplied by the application money per share, which is 1,40,000 into 25, which is 35 lakh rupees, my dear children. And the second journal entry is very important in all pro rata problems, my dear children. It is in this journal entry that we'll transfer the amount transferable to share capital account and keep the remaining, or transfer the remaining to the excess remaining is the excess application. You take it to share allotment account or calls in advance account or refund or whatever. We do that part here. Okay. Out of the total application money received, some portion has to be transferred to share capital. That is the amount receivable on the allotted shares as application money, and the remaining is to be considered as excess application money, and it will be either transferred to allotment account or calls in advance account or refunded to the shareholders, as the question says. If the question is silent, then you got to transfer to share allotment account and refund the rest. I'll make a flowchart for you about that and do it. But right now we'll go ahead and solve this problem. Share application account will be debited with the entire amount that you credited, and share capital account will be credited with the amount receivable as application money on the allotted shares. So share application money will be debited to 35 lakhs, and the number of shares allotted are 1 lakh. This multiplied by 25, the application money receivable on one share, will give you the total amount of money that is eligible to be transferred to share capital account. And whatever is remaining will be transferred to share allotment account and calls in advance if the question tells you to transfer it to calls in advance, or refunded if there is amount excess of even whatever is due on allotment and the further calls. Understood or not, my dear children? Let's first see how much is there as excess money here. We have 35 lakhs, the total application money received. Out of that, 25 lakhs has been transferred to share capital as application money. So we have excess of 10 lakh. 10 lakh is the excess application money available. And the allotment money due, my dear children, is 30 lakh rupees. That is 30 rupees per share into 1 lakh is 30 lakh. So we don't have enough excess application money to cover allotment itself. So the entire amount of excess application money that is available will be transferred to share allotment account. All right. The next thing to do would be to make allotment money due, and the journal entry to make allotment money due would be share allotment account debit to share capital, irrespective of whether we have excess application money or not. The entire amount due will be made. Entire amount due on allotment will be made due. Allotment money made due. So that is how much, my dear children? 1 lakh shares into 30 rupees per share. Am I right? 30 rupees is receivable on one share, and on 1 lakh shares, 30 lakhs will be receivable. And the next journal entry would be to receive allotment money, and this would have been very smooth had there been no calls and arrears. But unfortunately, we have some calls and arrears in this question, my dear children, and therefore we'll have to go ahead and do the working note. Some might argue that there is no need to prepare a working note as such, and you can do it in rough work and compute and just write the numbers. But I strongly recommend you do the working note because it will come in handy when you're doing the 6-mark question and board exam. This working note will also help you learn or identify the amount of premium paid and received on allotment and all, which is very much important while forfeiting the shares or passing journal entry for forfeiture of shares. And therefore, I'm telling you, this working note is very important and kindly learn how to do it. Computation of calls and arrears. Now, when do we have to do this working note? We'll have to do this working note only when there is pro rata allotment and there is excess application money on a particular call and some shareholders defaulted payment of that particular call. So all the three conditions have to be satisfied. There is excess application money. As I told you before, this is a pro rata allotment question and we have 10 lakh excess application money in this question. And this excess application money is used for allotment and some shareholders defaulted payment of allotment money and therefore we should go ahead and do the working note. Understood or not, my dear children? So it's a very simple working note. You have serial number, particulars, amount. The first thing would be to identify the excess application money per share. What is the total excess application money, my dear children? It's 10 lakh. Am I right? But this 10 lakh belongs to how many shares? It belongs to all the shareholders to whom pro rata allotment was made. Am I right? And on how many shares, how many applications was pro rata allotment made? 1,40,000 applications. How many shares were allotted on pro rata basis? 1 lakh. So 1 lakh shares were allotted on pro rata basis to 1,40,000 applicants, which resulted in excess application money of 10 lakh. So this 10 lakh belongs to the shares, 1 lakh shares. Okay. So the excess application money per share would be the total excess application money divided by the total number of shares that it belongs to. In this case, it happens to be 1 lakh and therefore this is 10. Understood or not, my dear children? Then we write the allotment money due. Now, if there was securities premium in the question, I would divide the allotment money due into share capital and securities premium portion and write them separately. But as in this question, we don't have any securities premium and there is no need for us to divide. We can write the total allotment money due in a single sentence itself, in the single line item itself. Understood or not? The total allotment money due was 30 rupees, my dear children. And the next thing that we computed is the allotment money receivable. What is allotment money receivable? The allotment money due is 30 rupees and there is excess application money of 10 rupees. So that will be set off against the amount due. And what you would receive is only the remaining 20 rupees. Understood or not, my dear children? So the excess allotment money receivable is nothing but the total allotment money due minus the excess application money available. That is 2 minus 1. So this is the allotment money receivable per share. So the total calls and arrears is what, my dear children? The total number of shares held by the defaulting shareholder multiplied by the allotment money receivable per share. Now let's look at the question and see how many shares are being held by Nikita. Nikita holding 1,000 shares did not pay allotment. So Nikita holds 1,000 shares and she was supposed to have paid 20 rupees per share as allotment money, which she didn't pay, and therefore the total calls in arrears here would be 1000 into 20, which is 20,000. After this, it is very straightforward, my dear children. We just pass a journal entry for receiving the allotment money with calls in arrears. So the journal entry will be what, my dear children? Whenever calls in arrears is there, it is bank account debit, calls in arrears account debit to share allotment account. Allotment money received. Now, what is the total amount of share to be credited to share allotment account, my dear children? It is 30 lakh minus the amount already credited in the second journal entry, that is the excess application money, 10 lakh. So it is 20 lakhs. And the amount to be debited to calls and arrears has been found out by us in this working note, which is 20,000. And therefore, the amount received in the bank would be 20 lakh minus 20,000, 19 lakh 80,000. We'll always keep bank as a balancing figure whenever calls in advance or calls in arrears is involved. Am I right, my dear children? So that's what we have done. The next journal entry would be to make first call due. And it's very straightforward. Share first call account debit to share capital account. Share first call made due. And the amount that we have to make due is 1 lakh shares into 30 rupees. The total number of shares allotted multiplied by the first call money receivable per share. Am I right, my dear children? And then we got to receive first call money. As we all very well know, Nikita did not pay allotment money, and therefore she would not have paid the first call also, as there is no mention of her paying any money after allotment in the question. The amount to be credited to first call in the receipt entry would be the amount that we made due, as there is no excess application money available against first call. And you got to be careful here, my dear children. Do we have to do a working note to compute call scenarios for Nikita for first call? The answer would be no. Why would it be no? It would be no because there is no excess application money available to be set off against first call. Understood or not, my dear children? So, Nikita, every shareholder was supposed to pay the entire 30 rupees on the shares held by them. And therefore, Nikita would have also had to pay the entire 30 rupees on the 1000 shares held by her. And therefore, her calls and arrears would be 30,000. If there had been some calls in advance against first call after setting off allotment, then we'll have to go ahead and do the working note. So we'll have to do the working note to compute calls and arrears only when there is pro rata allotment and there is some excess application money on a particular call, that is allotment or first call is whatever it is. In this question, it was allotment. There was some excess application money available to be set off against allotment dues, and the shareholders defaulted that particular call. Okay. So allotment in the case while collecting allotment money, we understood that there was excess application money and Nikita did not pay allotment money, and therefore we did a working note to compute the call scenarios. But when it comes to first call, we know that there is no excess application money. So computation of calls and arrears becomes very straightforward. We find the number of shares held by Nikita, which happens to be 1000 as given in the question, and multiply that with the amount due on the calls on first call to arrive at the call scenario. So 30,000. And bank again would be the balancing figure, my dear children. And likewise, we'll also do this for the second call. Second call, the amount is changing to 15 lakhs. While you make due, it will be share second call to share capital account. And then amount is 15 lakhs. Sorry. 15 lakhs. And the call scenarios would be what, my dear children? Let me first make changes to the journal entry. Calls and arrears would be the number of shares held by Nikita, which is 1000, multiplied by the amount payable as second call money on each share, which is 15. And therefore, the total calls and arrears will be 15,000 on second call. With that, we have come to the end of this video, my dear children. The most important thing that we learned in this video is this working note. The working note that we're supposed to prepare when there is excess application money available against a certain call and some shareholder has defaulted payment of that particular call. Then we'll have to do this working note in order to find the call scenarios of that particular shareholder in that particular call. If there is no excess application money available, computation of call scenarios is the same as how we used to compute call scenarios in the previous problems, whether it was pro rata allotment or not. But when there is some excess application money available to be set off against a particular call, like in this question, we had some 10 lakh rupees available to be set off against allotment. Am I right or not, my dear children? What we got to do was we got to use the working note to find out the call scenarios. You might wonder if this is actually necessary. I mean, it is easy to find the working note because 20 lakh is credited to share allotment account. 20 lakh divided by 1 lakh is 20 rupees is the amount received per share, and therefore call scenarios will be 20,000. There are other ways of doing this computing and finding this call scenarios also. But when you do the working note, it will be easier for you to solve the 6 mark question because in the working note, we'll bifurcate it into premium portion and capital portion. They'll help us identify how much of capital portion has been paid and how much of premium portion has been paid, which will help in turn help us to pass the journal entries asked in the 6 mark question like forfeiture and reissue. Understood or not? So getting used to solving this working note will be very useful for you. Preparing this working note will be very useful for you to solve the board examination questions from CBSE point of view. With that, we have come to the end of this video, my dear children. I hope you people, like, share, subscribe sometimes. And a lot of efforts are being put into preparing these videos. So I want you to make use of these videos and do let me know in case you don't find anything. I mean, if you're not able to understand something properly, or if you want me to explain something in a more detailed manner, or if there is some question that you're struggling with, you can, send me those questions and I'll probably find time to solve that for you. With more videos, I'll meet you again. Till then, you people have fun.